Yes.
Thank you everyone for joining. I hope you're all keeping safe and healthy during these strange times. As it's our first joint webinar, we're really excited to be here today with our Finnish partner QPR to talk about process mining and what process mining can bring to your organization, and today specifically in banking and insurance companies. So as we get started, just a few housekeeping notes. This session will be recorded and we'll send it to you in the coming days. There will be some time left at the end of the webinar for a Q&A, so use the chat function at the GoToWebinar and feel free to submit your questions. And all attendees will be muted during the session. So let's get started. Now, during this webinar, I'll first introduce the speakers from QPR and Relations. Then, starting from an insurance claim process, we will go live into the demo and show you the main capabilities and main functionalities of the process mining software. The second part of the webinar, we will show you the results. We will dive deeper into the results of our process mining project at KBC Insurance, where we provided them with faster analysis on their processes and insightful dashboarding, all on the life cycle of an insurance process. Ending the webinar, I will go briefly into the roadmap on how to start with process mining. And as promised, there will be some time left for the Q&A. But first things first, who's taking the stage today? You already heard me. I'm Yannick Kortals, Business Manager at Relations for the Finance and Public Division. Go ahead, Wim.
Hi, I'm Wim Kendries, and I'm the manager of the Relations Process Mining Center of Excellence. Teemu?
Yes, hi, I'm Teemu Lehto from QPR, and I'm honored to be here with our friends from Relations, and we've been doing business in process mining sector for a long time together. And my role in QPR is a vice president for process mining and participating quite a lot in the projects. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Teemu. I will come back to you for the demo very shortly. But for those who are wondering why Relations and QPR are together in this call, just a few thoughts on this matter. Today at Relations, around 100 business data and process consultants are working on temporary assignments in utilities, bank and insurance companies, and industry. Our main expertise lies in the end-to-end process optimization and supporting companies in their digital journey. Now, of course, as we are with a lot of business consultants, we ourselves are continuously searching to make our own service more efficient and try to deliver a better quality of work in a shorter time frame. So that's why in 2014, we partnered up with Ackinas, it's a BI consulting firm and the official reseller of QPR in Belgium. Now, of course, I let Teemu do the introduction of QPR. As a VP, he's in a much better place than me. But the last couple of years, we have seen process mining, the technology QPR delivers, actually merge from an academic subject to a real business solution. So our consultants can use this technology at the client side to do much better analysis and much faster. And as a consequence, we gathered this knowledge, this expertise in our own Relations Process Mining Competence Center, so we can ensure our clients this proven approach and some actionable insights. So that's why we are very happy today. We can partner up with QPR, we can do this webinar together with them and show you how we tackle typical business questions in the banking and insurance environment using process mining. So, without further ado, I give the floor to Teemu.
Okay, thank you very much. So, Yannick, let me press center. There we go. Let's start sharing the presentation. Okay, I hope you can see my screen at the moment. So just a couple of facts about QPR. So more than 1 million licenses sold, more than 2,000 customers in more than 50 countries. And we have been carrying over more than 400 process mining projects, many of those together with our partners like Relations. And we are a stock listed company. Now, why do we do process mining? Why do you as a customer, a company, should be doing process mining? There is a very clear reasons for that. So the traditional solution for understanding your processes is to have the interviews and workshops. So it's a subjective approach. You ask from people how the process goes. Well, this was the old way to do it, and the current way is to use the fact-based, data-driven approach, which is the process mining. So no need to guess how process is going. You can actually have the accurate view on all the details. You can have the summaries and the detail levels. It's very fast to get the analysis, and you can repeat the analysis, for example, on monthly basis. So you will get a good control and understanding of your processes. Okay. So those were the kind of the challenges with the old approach. So now process mining in short, so the steps. So first of all, it starts from getting the data, and typical systems for the data include SAP, Oracle, Salesforce, ServiceNow, Dynamics, Microsoft systems, whatever ERP systems you have. They can very well be in-house developed databases that have some application numbers, loan application, insurance claim numbers, and process mining utilizes a transaction level log data from those systems, which is there available because it's kind of mandatory to keep that data for the reference purposes. So that's where we plug in with the connectors, and with that you get automatically the process discovery charts. The reporting about the discoveries where you can see all the process bottlenecks and challenges. I'm going to show it very shortly in the demo soon. With the discoveries you make, the goodie is that you can get the root cause analysis automatically done with the data. So at the same time when you make a discovery, you can immediately see the root causes. And that of course gives you the possibility to find how you can improve the situation. So you and your business are improving the processes and the ways of working, and you can monitor that in the KPI and dashboard level so that you get the path, you see the trend, how things are going in the right direction, automation rate is increasing, on-time deliveries is getting better, whatever the KPI is that you are measuring. And then as the fifth element in process mining, with QPR Process Analyzer, you can also do case level prediction. So you can predict what will happen to any ongoing open case. So if you are having an insurance claim, you can, for example, predict that whether you are able to do the decision within the given SLA time frame. And if the prediction is saying that this particular claim might run late, then you may invest a little bit more resources into that claim early on. So the prediction is using the full history of all the other cases to predict the outcome of an ongoing case. Okay, this is process mining functionality in short. And now what is the data that you need to have in order to do this, all the magnificent reports and findings? The data is very simple. So first, the data set about the events. There's 3 columns. One of them is the number of or the identifier for the case. This could be like the claim identifier. Number 1 claim is here, and then what has happened for that particular claim and what has been the timestamp of that particular activity taking place. So you just list down that for the claim number 1, these activities took place at these particular times. Then the claim number 2, another set of activities, quite overlapping probably, occurred in these particular timestamps. And now when you feed in this data from, let's say, 1 million insurance claims, you get the full visibility on the high level, how the process goes, and on the low level details. So this is a required event level data. And then for the root cause analysis, we utilize the case attributed data. So here we can see that this claim number 1 is of insurance type workers' comp from the region Boston, and the coverage is extended and industry is automotive. And the claim number 2 has some other properties. So once you give these properties for the claims, then you can run the automated root cause analysis. So this is the all data that is needed. And this kind of data for sure is existing in your corporate systems, in the databases and in the ERP systems, application handling systems. Yeah. Okay, let's move into the demo. So today we will be looking at the insurance claim process. There are certain steps in the process. This is kind of the textbook example of the process would go, and soon we will see from the tool how it actually looks in reality. So let me jump here, and please remember to write in the questions to the question box in the webinar. We are happy to go through those in the end of the webinar. Okay, so here we are in QPR Process Analyzer. So you see, this is the process mining tool, and let me maximize the area. So we have the process discovery. It's just one click of a button and you will have your process flowchart drawn here. And since this is the automatically generated flowchart, you can reduce the level of detail. Like this would be the textbook example of the process with some added KPI information, but we can even hide the KPIs just to make this like a really textbook example. So now what is good over here in process mining, you can add the level of detail. So you can add more visibility to a bigger set of activities, because in reality, there are exceptions and things that humans forget that, oh yeah, in some situations, this is also happening. But in the data, you will find those. So this could be somewhat called an enhanced extended process flow chart with a little bit more possibilities over here. But you see, we are still showing only 60% of the activities. And if I click on this, you see that there is actually quite a lot of more activities happening in the process. So all this analysis you get automatically with QPR Process Analyzer. Now, in addition to these names of the activities, we get a very useful information. For example, the durations. So just clicking the durations, you will immediately see the KPIs where the time is spent. So reviewing customer policy to approve claim, 3 days, 4 hours. And there is another 2 days, 17 hours in this particular part. There's 5 days over there. So you can see the durations. And then you can see the amounts. So the amounts are telling that once we go review customer policy, the internal appraisal begins in 36% of the cases, and here 54. Now you may wonder why did we have 28 over here. So the thing is, we are also hiding some not so often happening flows. So if I take all the flows into the same picture, it gets again like a bit complicated, and it is showing that there are many possible routes how you can actually go from one place to another place in the process. So this is kind of this is somewhat called the reality. The 100% is view where you have a lot of different routes how to go, and then for us humans, we depending on the situation, we want to choose the right level of data over here. Okay, now let's see that if we make some finding in this data. Well, for example, we could search for something that doesn't happen so often. So let's say that we have this like received more information. Okay, so if we kind of try to sort of enhance our process so that we wouldn't have a specific box where we receive more information, but we would get the information already beforehand, then we can run the root cause analysis. Why is this happening? So it's very simple. I just select the root cause analysis over here. And let's say it was the receive more information, and let's put that to be the root cause condition. So now in this this chart over here, we see that in 30% of the cases we receive more information, but these insurance types, legal and health and automotive, these are having more than average, and then these other areas are having less than average. So there is something different in these areas compared to the other areas. And we can run this root cause, and you can also see that those that receive more information are more likely to come from this route, external appraisals, rather than from the internal appraisals. So you see the root cause analysis from both the data, the process flow chart, and then from the case attributes corner. And this root cause analysis you can also run for whatever finding. For example, you can take the long-lasting cases. Let me remove that particular root cause condition, and let me take like cases taking more than something 33 days, and let's put that to be a root cause condition. And now we see that, okay, 23% of the cases take a long time, and in Austin 26% are taking a long time, or in this healthcare industry and so on. So these are the potential root causes for cases taking a long time. Okay, I also want to show you one thing about the conformance checking. So so there's a lot of functionality in the tool, but let me show you how to compare the as-is process with the design process. And since this is banking and insurance, I will be now showing you this with the banking process. So let me show it to you. So we have the flow chart that is generated automatically. This looks like this. So new loan approval, processing the loan approvals, and then the loan is either approved or rejected. And again, a lot of things can happen in between. So now what we have here is a design model for the loan approval process. And this is a BPMN standard design model. So may I read this to you that it has to start with this new loan approval, and then you can have in parallel, you go to this route where you process a loan approval, get the first approval, and then either you reject or you approve the loan, and then you do these valid documentation checks, and then you end over here. And in addition to this process, you can in parallel, you can have attach additional document happening 0 times or 1 time or multiple times. So this is a formal description of a process where you go to this route and either a loan is approved or loan is rejected, and then this attached additional documents can happen anytime, any amount of times after the new loan approval. So this is our design model, and now the conformance analysis is showing that 20.3% of all our cases in this as-is model are conforming with this particular design model. And you can also see the conformance trend over here, how it has been changing over the time. You can see the top violations, application changed is the biggest violation, occurs most often in 26% of the cases. And here are like the violation, like there's a lot of these kind of cases, loan approval and rejected right away without any processing steps. So you see all this information, and also for these non-conformances, you can run the root cause analysis to see that what are the business areas where you are having cases that do not conform. So here we see that the business unit merchant 93% of the cases is not conforming, whereas the average was around 80%. So clearly there is something that should be done in these areas. And again, you see in the end of the list, you see the ones where you are doing better in comparison with the design. Okay, this was a quick snapshot of Process Analyzer and the 3 areas: process discovery, root cause analysis, and then the conformance analysis. And at this point, I would give it to Wim. Yes.
Hello.
Yes. All right, as we are on a tight schedule, I'll give the floor to Wim to talk and dive deeper into the results. Yes, go.
You have been made a presenter, but you should show your screen. Eh? Yannick?
Oh, it should be, yeah.
All right.
Okay. Talking about the use cases and application areas, just in general, because we could talk about this for quite some while. As Teemu showed, the first use of process mining is a lot in the area of process improvement, where you would like to know which part of your process takes longer, where do we have rework, are there bottlenecks. Typically in a process improvement environment, process mining could be really helping you getting the answers to your questions much faster. A second area, which is more used when you use more actual data than past data, is the area of the process measurement and KPI reporting. But there are also other areas where it is very interesting to use that fact-based approach. Name one, the ERP and IT development. If you are in the middle of a ERP integration of a company where you want to see how they work and you want to integrate their ERP in your ERP, why not using process mining to actually see how they use the system and not how it's set up? Same thing with mergers and acquisitions. If you could look at how your acquired company really does some processes, it could help you to get faster an idea where you should try to align the process with your process. Today, a lot is done about or talked and about process automation, specifically in the area of robotic process automation. And there you could use process mining very well to make the business case which activity should be further automated. And in audit process compliance, in the old days, it was how can we find something we need to audit. In today, it's more we have so many issues we can find that as an auditor, you can start now choosing the right ones which you should investigate. Today, we're going to talk about the process measurement and KPI reporting in our use case. Okay, so we're going to talk about the life cycle of an insurance policy. Again, if you look at the textbook approach, it's a very simple process, you could say. We make a proposal for a policy or a new cover. Then the customer and the organization need to accept that proposal, and then we make a contract. So very easy. Now, if you look at the KPIs around that process, then the main KPI, of course, is how many policies covers did we convert from a proposal to a contract, which in classical sales terms is named the conversion rate or the hit ratio, if you like. That's the most important KPI. But the second question is then, yeah, if we didn't convert a proposal to a contract, what were the reasons for not converting? And if we made a contract, okay, how many proposals did we make before getting the contract, which is the effort rate? And then how long did it took to get the proposal to a contract, the lead time? And especially in legally or when you have legal requirements or your own SLA requirements, you would like to have an answer, did we respect our SLA? So those typical KPIs can easily be made with QPR Process Analyzer. We'll show you some examples. If you look at the conversion rate, okay, this can be a simple calculation, just taking the events where you name them as 1 compared to all the events where you name them as lost. That can just be that easy to calculate the hit rate. It could be more complex depending on your data. After the conversion rate, you go, of course, to the cases where you didn't get a contract. And that, of course, are those case attributes or those event types where you say, okay, give me the percentage of event types where the cases were not converted. Examples in real life can be if your process demands having consent of your customer for privacy legacy reasons, and they don't apply in a certain amount of days, then the proposal will be rejected. And so this is typical, an idea how you would like to follow up in time, or how many cases and how they are relatively important or not. Another KPI, the effort rate, calculates how many proposals did you make on average for one proposal. Now, if you look at, in this case, an effort rate of 1.1, you could say that's a very good effort rate, because if it's one, it would be one proposal, one contract. But what is more important is not showing just that average number, but more looking at those cases which took much longer. And if you see the next KPI, then you will see that, okay, a lot of them took only one proposal, but there are of 2, 3, 4, and there were even cases where there were 25 proposals needed before there was one contract. Okay, going to the next. So questions about lead time, of course, is not only having the average time it took 20 days to get a contract from a proposal, but really looking at what the duration analysis was. And so you can then start comparing with your SLA, saying less than 30 work days or more than 30 work days. And for each selection you make, you can easily see the flowchart and all the other data. Now, knowing the lead time, you get to the SLA. This is an example where there was an internal SLA that there shouldn't be any case with more than 30 work days. And so if you then start saying, okay, how can I find then easily those cases which takes more than 30 days? Okay, you make yourself a list, like it's on the next slide. And then you can search for those cases. Now, you could ask yourself, what is now the difference with classical BI? Because all the things you saw now, I already saw them somewhere in a classical BI. I think it's the flow and event data that is typical for process BI. I've never saw a classical BI showing you the flowchart, and not only showing you a static picture of the flowchart, but a dynamic picture. Or doing analysis in BI like, okay, we have a certain event, how many steps were before that event and how many cases were there? That will take much more time in classical BI to get this kind of data. And of course, going to dashboards is what it's all about. You can do a process discovery, but if you want to give your business people this kind of analysis capabilities, then you should make a dashboard where they don't have to discover what is important, but they can see it. Okay, I think that was my part. Going back to Yannick.
All right. So, as it's already 4:30, I will go very briefly over the roadmap we used to actually start with process mining. Firstly, if you book a one-to-one meeting, we will mainly listen to you and your business questions today and get a good process understanding, but we will also provide you with a full understanding on the potentials for your organization. Normally, we would then start defining the scope for a process mining project, but if necessary, we always can deliver a proof of value where we will take a small data set coming out of your IT system and give first insights in your processes. But actually, the real process mining journey will start with defining a process mining project. So we define the scope, what business question do you want to analyze? So targeting a substantial impact and a fast return. Now, what is continuous improvement? There are many definitions for continuous improvement. For us, it is actually when the process analysts in your organization use process mining maybe daily as they use Excel, as they use Power BI, as they use Visio or BPMN. So that's for us is continuous improvement. Wil van der Alst is like the godfather of process mining. He stated recently that the real return on investment for process mining is not an individual project, but actually the daily use of process mining for many different processes. The last step is actually launching a center of excellence in your organization, gathering different kind of profiles to tackle your daily business questions and streamlining all individual initiatives. If you want to hear the experience of KBC, I added the link to the video with some highlights and what KBC thought of using process mining. And actually they got to the stage of continuous improvement and center of excellence. So it's time for the Q&A. I suggest we'll take another 4 or 5 minutes for the Q&A. Let's see.
Okay, so we have this one question here that is it possible to attach a financial value to the activities? And yes, that is a very good question, and I would like to briefly quickly show you how to do that. So maybe if I can get the presenter mode for myself. I think I have it now. So you see, here we go. And so the financial value, yes, that is a very good question. So here we have again the loan approval process, and now what I have done is that we have this cost KPIs. So QPR Process Analyzer is in compared to just the process analysis tools, QPR Process Analyzer also analyzes the financial value. So you can have the cost KPIs shown right here in the event types. So for example, here 12,586 euro is the total cost of going through this step. And you can also change that to be average. So you see that the average going through here is 12,000 and that, let me see that here. Okay, well, yes. And then we have the flows over here. So you can have all the costs going on in the flow chart, and in addition to that, you can also use the costs in the root cause analysis. So if I open the root cause analysis over here, let's make the root cause analysis for using an external consultant, and let's see where that particular activity is taking place. So you see that that there are, for example, this particular user is using a lot of the external consultants, and now if you give a weighting for this analysis based on the costs, based on the value, so weighted by the case value, so I can rerun the analysis and weight by the case value. Okay, well, my model was not the best one, but anyways, so the process analyzer contains the cost values, and they can be used in flowchart and the root cause analysis, and then of course in all of those KPI dashboards.
Okay, thank you, Timo. I see another question. Maybe to Wim, what are the minimum people roles involved in process mining organization after the project implementation? So I guess it's going to continuous improvement.
Yeah. Okay, meaning going to a center of excellence, or at least virtually, which competences should a, let's say, process mining specialist have? Is this, I think if this is the question, we see that most process analysts today, they of course use the tools they know, and a lot of them know Excel. But Excel is very, let's say, you can do a lot of things with Excel, but it's not always easy. So besides of having a good process mining tool like QPR, it would help to answer certain questions much quicker. For instance, at KBC, their first, you could say, quote was, if in the old days it took me days to get an answer about duration and which cases were deviating, it was now just a couple of hours, because the minute they made that model, they had the answer in the process discovery. But of course, if you get more into more complex data or huge amounts of data, big data, you need some ETL knowledge, meaning that the possibility to extract, transform, and load data into an event and a case level table. And it was shown that you need people in your team that are capable of doing this. If you ask this to the BI people, they have so many projects that it can be then that you have to wait for 2 months before you get your answer. So I think you need to add those competences too. And then of course, if you only have, let's say, a technical experience in process mining and data ETL, you need to have business knowledge, because otherwise you don't understand what are the events are, especially if they are named in a very difficult way, like we are now in event 2B, then you don't know what's really happening. And of course, some project management competences is also well, because you need to be very well aware of the time you get to get the answer. Maybe that's an answer to that question.
All right, thank you, Wim. Let's see, maybe a final question. Yeah, also to Wim, your main takeaway from the KBC project. Is something you can share with us?
Yeah, so the KBC started in July last year, doing a lot of them themselves after some basic training and so. But we saw that for a process analyst using the process mining software, the software itself, it's not that difficult, but there are so many possibilities. Teemu showed only the most simple ones, you could say, which is process discovery. But we have so many capabilities in doing analysis using chart view, making dashboards, that a lot of process analysts at KBC told that we need more training, and especially we need ourselves more time to play with this tool and to get how we can answer those questions. So one lesson learned is that you should not, let's say, underestimate the effort you need as a person to get in those new tool. And then, as I already told, the combination of business knowledge, process knowledge with the data in the events, it's pretty important. If you don't understand the data yourself as analyst, how can you then answer to questions? And then a third is for higher maturity. It's better not to let everybody go to the same burden, let's say, to the same learning curve. Like in project management, a center of excellence should be helpful if you really want to get your organization to the next level. Okay.
All right. Okay. So I want to close the webinar by thanking you, Teemu, for the participation, and Wim. Hope to do this again in the future. So thanks everyone for listening and your questions, and we will deliver the recordings of this webinar in the coming days. So hope to hear from you soon. Take care. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Goodbye. Thank you.